start.
Hello and welcome, wherever you may be. There's a lot of material this week. Actually, I convinced one of my neighbours to redo a small roof he has on his house, and I was up there with him. I did all the planning, measuring, marking, and laying out, from first principles, never having done it before, and it looks pretty good. But the truth is there were a few problems I encountered at the beginning and didn't pay enough attention to them, and I feel a little sheepish about it. It's always difficult to be diligent when you're trying to manage your own internal anxieties as well as those of the people you're working with. In the garden this week I caught a pigeon hanging upside down, greedily snatching off little red berries from a holly bush. He was very athletic, and I was wondering about the reciprocal maintenance of different levels of being. Here, a vertebrate with a vegetal being, 2 steps apart. The holly and the pigeon work together, even though they have different beings. Uspensky says, I remember my last talk with G. I had thanked him for the consideration he had given me and for his explanations, which I already saw had changed many things in me. But all the same, you know, the most important thing is facts, I said. If I could see genuine and real facts of a new and unknown character, only they would finally convince me that I am on the right way. I was thinking again of miracles. There will be facts, said G. I promise you. But many other things are necessary first. I did not understand his last words then. I only understood them later, when I really came up against facts. For G kept his word. For my own part, I remember being in Paddington, reading Nisargadatta's I Am That. I did not understand what he was talking about. He was talking about the I that is beyond the manifested world. And there was a dialogue with a surgeon, and the surgeon was asking him very reasonable questions. Nisargadatta gently channeling him back into I Am That. And I could sense the sincerity of it, that he was experiencing something that I was not. And the religious path, the path of evolution, is exactly like that. It is not an extension of your life. It is not that you will work harder and you will become spiritualized. I can guarantee that you will not. It is not possible. You have to be guided across, which is the purpose of organized religion that everybody loves so much these days. The reason is given by Gurdjieff in the Sacred Symbols section in Search of the Miraculous, where he says that at the 5th, that there are many meanings for the 5th. One is that you seal the first 2 and become ambivatal. Then there is a thanksgiving and a boundary. Where there is a boundary, there is what? To traverse into the 3rd is a luxury and a dangerous journey, because it is then that you have to give something, The first story is given, the second story is where you do your work, and for most it ends there. Today, everything we see out there, science, the New World Order, medicine, work, it's all a desperate attempt to try and extend a human life and make something happen. It's not going to happen. It has to come from above. And after all, how can something come from above if it doesn't come from above? It must be 300 years now in the West when the heavens have closed and the arguments have begun. I happened to listen to 3 separate teachers of the Fourth Way this week. The first said proudly, "I am not a Buddhist or a Christian," as if this open-minded meant something. But everybody is like that these days. I would like to listen to somebody who is both a Christian and a Buddhist and can speak with authority and years of practice. That's who I want to hear. Another one, speaking of attention, said that attention is when you feel yourself. That is technically incorrect. Attention is when your intelligence reaches out. Ad means towards, and tending, stretching outwards towards an external object. That is attention. Feeling yourself is something else. There are many hidden aspects to the reason society unfolds the way it does. One of them is resonance. An example is that people who are suffering, perhaps because of the banking system, will tend to resonate with those suffering in the past, even in another country or another era. They resonate together. Today we are dominated, of course, by the new resonance of countless people staring at their phone. It is not what they see or read, however inflammatory or ridiculous it is. They are resonating with a silicon, with a plastic machine. And at the level of consciousness of most of humanity, they then look out into the world and demand to see that same resonance out there, which is why we see these plasticky looking cars and bright LED lights everywhere, because it has the same resonance as the conditioning device that they use so much. That is the true story of what is happening. Gurdjieff said that astrological signs were completely misunderstood today, that they do indeed show marks of your character as part of the 12-beat structure of the cosmos deploying itself on Earth. And people take that as a guide, but in the past it was taken quite differently. These particulars were what you had to battle against in order to reach clarity, objectivity, and freedom. It was not a guide for your life, but a guide to the obstructions in your life, in fact. And you see here that we are not made for nothing. Everything that is made comes out of the crystallizations of those octaves. And it is only weaving within and without that we can gain mastery. He says, "From the West, I wish to take the knowledge that the East could not give me. From the East I took theory, from the West, practice. That which is in the East did not exist in the West, and vice versa. That is why each alone has no value. Together they complete each other." If you are looking for the present moment, you've come to the wrong place, because I have only a war to give you, because a war is all there is. Somehow this message burned into me this week, that always and everywhere there must be some kind of struggle, even if you place a fork on a table, because that is the only thing that gives life. And that is love, love to exist. And it doesn't matter what is happening, it doesn't matter what has happened, and it doesn't matter what will happen. That struggle is always and everywhere the living current. Although the beings of that ill-starred planet had their rising according to conventionally objective time reckoning already many tens of years ago, not only have they not as yet any being sensation of cosmic phenomena such as is proper to all three-centered beings of the whole of the universe, but in the reasoning of these unfortunates there is not even an approximate notion of the genuine causes of these phenomena. They have not an approximately correct conception even of those cosmic phenomena that occur on their own planet around them. I was looking for a pair of cargo trousers on the Gap UK website this week. Apparently everybody on it is black. It feels like a psychological assault, because in this country everybody is white. Unless of course you go to our venerable Conservative Party, that's why Gurdjieff says, on that ill-starred planet, only when everything is wrong, then it's all right. I am not English, but when I think of the English, I think like this. I'll read out a long section now regarding Alexander of Macedon and the penetration of the new gifts of Rome and Greece into the previously well-regulated communities of Asia. Here it is extremely interesting to notice that when periods of peace occurred between these two communities there, Rome and Greece, communities of almost equal strength in respect of the possession of efficient means for the processes of reciprocal destruction. The beings of both groups, the places of their existence being adjacent, often came into contact and had friendly relations with each other, with the result that little by little they then picked up from each other those specialities which had first been invented by their ancestors and which had become proper to them. In other words, the result of the frequent contact of beings of those two communities was that the Greek beings, borrowing from the Roman beings all the finesses of sexual turns, began arranging their what are called Athenian nights, while the Roman beings, having learned from the Greek beings how to cook up sciences, composed their later very famous what is called Roman law. A great deal of time has passed since then. And so, my boy, later on it seems, when the descendants of these bored Asiatic fishermen and shepherds had acquired many of the said efficient means for the successful destruction of the existence of beings like themselves, and when they had become practiced in persuading by the potency of their means, compelling the beings of other countries to exchange their inner convictions for those ideals invented by their ancestors there, then, as I have said, they first conquered the neighbouring communities situated on the continent Europe, and afterwards, with the help of the hordes they collected during that period, turned towards the continent Asia for the same purpose. There they began spreading that maleficent influence of theirs, first among the beings populating the western shores of that continent, beings in whom, as I have already said, being impulses of a more or less normal being existence had been cultivated for centuries, and afterwards they gradually began advancing into the interior. This advance of theirs into the interior of the continent Asia proceeded very successfully, and their ranks were constantly being increased, chiefly because of the scientists who had been in Babylon, then continued everywhere on the continent Asia to infect the reasons of beings with their Hasnamustian wiseacring. And they were also helped very much by the fact that there were still preserved in the instincts of the Asiatic beings the results of the influences of the initiates and priests of the very saintly Ashiata Shiemash, who in their preachings had inculcated, among other things, one of the chief commandments of Ashiata Shiemash, which declared, "Do not kill another, even when your own life is in danger." Profiting by all this, these former fishermen and shepherds could very easily advance, destroying all those who declined to worship the gods they themselves had finally acquired, that is to say, their fantastic sciences and their phenomenal depravity. It seems to me that, above all, human beings lack a technical understanding of what is happening to them and how they function. Would it change anything if they knew? I'm not sure, but as things stand, they don't have a chance. Earlier, Ouspensky talked about facts. In other words, manifesting ideas. How is that done? Well, it is done through the body and through feelings working together with the mind. Those three together. Which is why most of the fourth way has simply not resulted in much, because people talk and read. Human beings are strangely vulnerable, is strangely suffering, is strangely confused. They could do with some help.
Me